ain't that you can't see, cause you can find it, homes, it's that you don't want to. You cope by putting the blinders on. I've been trying to find some kind of way, but I've kind of known that y'all.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Today we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw from May the 16th. Oh boy. So, 2022. Oh, I forgot to say the year. Anyway, we know that the Sasha Banks and Naomi thing is the biggest story coming out of Raw. I will be doing an almost 90-minute video on that. It will be either before this video or afterwards, however it goes, however I decide to do it when it comes to it being up, but it will not be discussed here. This will be the conversation on Raw. So, the news and notes for Raw, we're going to do some programming notes too. First is the programming notes. I was asked to do a review of Kendrick Lamar's album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I will be doing that. It will probably be up on Sunday, whatever is that, March, May, the whatever. Same day I may be doing also a Pusha T, It's Almost Dry review. Because I wanted to do both albums, because I want to get back into doing rap albums, but I don't want to sit down and listen to a lot of rap. So when a big rap album comes out, or if somebody I actually know, somebody remind me to say, hey, you should do a album review on such and such. So that's kind of how you guys can really you dictate what kind of content you want. So if you want me to do a rap album, I'll do a rap album. You want me to do some political stuff, let me know what kind of subjects you want me to talk about. Just feel free to toss stuff out there. Even though this is a wrestling YouTube channel, I have shown a breadth of understanding of a lot of different subjects. I have tons of useless information and factoids and stuff in my head, and sometimes I forget shit, but most of the time I'm pretty on point. But if you just want something specific, feel free to ask, man. If you want to donate to make sure it gets bumped up in the schedule, let me know. So, that's a beautiful thing. So that's how you can manipulate the MagMongoSlade algorithm. Because you can say, hey, I want you to watch this episode of Looney Tunes and talk about it. I'll be like, okay, I'll get around to it, maybe 3 months. But, whatever. All right, so let's get into the news and notes for Raw instead of programming notes. All right, so Roman Reigns will be cutting back on his dates, and he will now be, I guess, essentially a part-timer or a special attraction, as WWE likes to call it. Good for him. It's good for him. Is this going to hurt WWE? I don't think so. It seems to me that they're basically cutting out house shows, which they take an absolute bath on anyways. And I'm pretty sure Roman's like, hey, man, I'm going out to these house shows, and maybe the buildings are half empty. Even if they're full, it's just not that important. It's a small town or something like that. Maybe he'll make the bigger house shows. But that's about it. Wants to spend more time at home. He's 36, 37 now. This is a good thing, and it opens up opportunities for other people to move up the card and get experience working in the main events. It's always a good thing when a guy pulls himself off the road. It's always good when a guy removes himself from the picture. It was great that John Cena moved on and Batista moved on and The Rock moved on, because it made more guys have to step up. Now they treat Cody like a huge star. They're going to have to, they've been giving Cody the push. They've been really giving Cody the push. And maybe Roman feels like, hey, they're giving Cody the push. I can fall back. And that seems to be the right move, the right decision. It's the right time. It's the right time to go to Vince and say, look, I need to pull back, bruh. Look at all the stuff you're doing for Cody. Look at how much money you're spending on just pyro for Cody Rhodes. I can chill. You don't need me on the house show, Luke. Besides, you're taking an absolute bath on those goddamn house shows anyway. But they still need him around to sell merchandise and everything. Now, this leads to whether they will take the belts from him. To me, they don't need to take the belts from him. They don't really need to. He could be a Brock Lesnar champion who comes around every once in a while. You have a top contender. You could take one of the belts. You don't have to take both of them. But I think ultimately your big match is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. I think that's your big match. And I think, screwing around with it before WrestleMania seems silly to me. Yes, it does seem like everything is set for Drew McIntyre to win the title at the Cardiff show in the stadium and everything. And that would be fine. I think that would be perfectly okay. It's a perfectly rational decision to make. But I don't know if people will be accepting of Drew McIntyre in that role, because Cody has come in like a house of fire. and everybody's going to feel like it's Cody's spot. And you right now, to think about things in an archetypal kind of way, you have three children of destiny in WWE. You have Roman Reigns, who was bred and born through this for the Anawais. You got Drew McIntyre, Vince McMahon's hand-picked guy from 2006, 2007 WWE. And you have Cody Rhodes, the son of the American Dream Daddy, and he seems like he's going to be the one of the Rhodes family to finally bring the WWE Championship back home. He's destined to do that. So you have these three similar types of characters, and of those three, Drew McIntyre is probably the less over right now. And so putting the belt on him, he needs it more. But Cody beating Drew McIntyre for the belt ain't the same as Cody beating Roman for the belt. You know what I'm saying? So maybe not. But they're not going to be hurt too bad by Roman not being on house shows. It'll be okay. Now, Deadline did a really deep article on WWE being involved with Fox and NBC's upfronts. So if you guys don't know what this means, it's basically a pitch meeting to the advertisers. So just like, you may have seen in one of these corny TV shows how a guy has to pitch his new idea to his bosses with a PowerPoint presentation and all that stuff. That's kind of how this is, except for it's networks pitching their programming to advertisers so that advertisers know what they will be getting and what kind of programming that they have. And so AEW and WWE will both be featured in these upfronts. AEW will not be sending talent for odd reasons that their upfront day, which is Wednesday, is the same day as Dynamite. And they want their talent in town for Dynamite. That's a bad idea. Send your talent to fucking New York to do the upfronts. Just do it. Tony Khan, be smart, do it. Send your talent. WWE will be sending Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair to the Fox presentation. They will be sending Bianca Belair and The Miz to the NBC advertising presentation because NBC owns the USA Network. In the article, Stephanie McMahon engaged in some Vince McMahonisms, some quite rank delusion, and it was pretty fun reading that article because it was very interesting. It says that Stephanie says this, and it's really weird. She says she's going to tell the advertisers, or what they tell to the advertisers, you may object to what we do, but you're never going to be bored. Why would they object to pro wrestling? That's a good question. Now, you know why. If you've been listening to this channel for a long time, if you haven't, go back and listen to our video Nitro. I also did an entire video series on the audience. Advertisers do not like wrestling fans, and they don't like wrestling. They consider it lowbrow entertainment. So she's accepting that and willing to use that and saying, you guys might not like what we do in here in the pro wrestling space, but you're never going to be bored with what we do. And she was really pitching the idea of WWE being able to integrate their brands into, or integrate sponsorships into their shows. Like the Netflix thing with Zombies of the Dead or whatever the hell it was, where they had the zombies eat the Miz, or the Pure Life Water thing. She's really proud of that stuff. She talks about it all the time. And she says that WWE is not just in the business of entertainment. It's also live sports. And she says that, well, the article says that NBC is pitching WWE as a sports property. So, and she says it's both. It's athletic theater. That's her term. That's the Stephanie McMahon term. That you're athletic theater. Interesting. She says WWE thrives in the sports live action business and the scripted entertainment business. It's both. And then she compared WWE to ESPN. She says the first letter of ESPN is E, and it stands for entertainment. I was like, you got me there, Steph. You got me there, babe. I don't even think that's the case, but it worked on me well enough. I was like, wait a minute, what does ESPN stand for? I don't fucking know. I know it's something sports network or some shit. I don't know. But they also will be developing a TV show for NBCU called Pinned. It will be a show about a fictional wrestling promotion. It sounds a lot like Heels. They're still in the Heels idea, and they're going to do it for NBCU. you don't know, which you probably don't, Heels is a TV show for Stars that's about a fictional wrestling promotion. It's about a Southern wrestling promotion. It features CM Punk. He's on the show a couple of times. So they're kind of still in that idea. They're going to do it's probably going to be a comedy or something, though. All right, she also said that WWE is primed to do deals directly with sponsors because they have no players unions, no team owners, no stadium authorities or agents needing to sign off on these deals. That WWE is a quote-unquote one-stop shop for creative because we own the IP. Brands can just deal with us. We can create something together. This is something that I know Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics really got really stuck in his craw, that WWE is able to avoid all of these various bureaucracies by not having a union or a players association or anything like that. They're really bothered by this. Me personally, I don't care. Wrestlers are pretty well paid. You know, obviously they could make more. I think everybody should make more money, but unfortunately, that's not how this works. You know, like you just can't. You deserve more money, and then more money appears out of nowhere. That's just not how it works. Wrestling just isn't as popular as UFC or boxing or anything like that, or football, so they can't pay people the same amount of money. And even paying them the same percentage doesn't even make much sense because they, you know, it's just, I don't want to get into that. Let's not go down that road. I do have to get to Raw eventually. But it's an interesting thing, that article with Deadline. If you want to read it yourself, I forget what it's called. But seeing that NBC now considers WWE a sports property due to its performance with in comparison to the Super Bowl, I think it was the second most watched thing on Peacock. WrestleMania was in comparison to the Super Bowl. Peacock is continuing to grow. So it's looking good. And the fact that WWE was going to be prominently featured in 2 different advertiser upfronts, and they're sending 4 of their biggest stars there, very interesting. And the people that they chose, also quite interesting. Bianca Belair and The Miz were the 2 people they sent from Raw. And The Miz, of course, also has a deal with NBC for the reality TV show, so that makes sense. So they sent Bianca Belair as the representative for WWE in terms of Monday Night Raw. So I'm pretty sure she was probably chosen before Cody really became a big deal. They'll probably send Cody next year. And Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair were sent to Fox. And since Roman Reigns was the guy that they asked for, you know, why not? The last thing here, and this is only interesting because it's another WWE still in ideas, is they're doing a Cena Sports Collections show. Basically, the show is going to be executive produced by John Cena and will be about Cena hunting down sports memorabilia. Does that sound familiar to you? Does this sound like Most Wanted Treasures? Well, it sounds like it to me. All right, let's finally get to Monday Night Raw, which was sold out in Norfolk, Virginia. We countdown to Cody. We got to do a countdown to Cody because Cody Rhodes is very important. So important, in fact, we got a ticker. We're going to show you when Cody's going to show up. Let's see if that quarter hour goes up. Which, I don't know. If they keep doing it, it might be because it is. All right, anyway. First match is the steel cage match between Omos and Bobby Lashley. MVP gets on the mic, says that he's expecting Omos to brutalize Bobby Lashley and that the Almighty Era is over and it ends tonight. Lashley gets his big platform entrance, boom, 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 and then he gets attacked by Cedric Alexander in the aisleway. It's a big brouhaha in that aisleway. And the officials and everything separate us. So you go to commercial, we come back. They have the match. MVP, of course, continues to interfere, and so does Cedric Alexander. MVP stabs Lashley in the throat through the cage. He also, you know, climbs the cage at one point, and you know they're fighting each other through the cage door. Or not the cage, or the cage wall or whatever. Lashley and MVP. Cedric Alexander climbs the cage at one point. Lashley throws him off the top. He takes a huge bump. The crowd was kind of, and then until the Cedric Alexander attack. Like the Cedric Alexander attack in the aisleway woke the crowd up because they did so much clip packages and countdown to Cody, and they did all the promo stuff, and it was just so much before they finally got into the damn ring. It was probably a good 4 or 5 minutes. It was a waste of time. And then when Cedric Alexander broke up, started the fight. It was 2-on-1 on Bobby for a while. The crowd woke up and was like, Bobby, Bobby. But Lashley wins because Omos threw Lashley into the side of the cage door. The cage door went down. I was half right. And Lashley just kind of rolled off the cage door and his feet touched the floor. Therefore, he won. I saw a lot of people kind of condemning Omos for being dummy and not getting hold of Lashley before his feet touched the floor. He just kind of stood there and waited for it to happen. Well, you got to give the guy some credit. I'm a kayfabe this in my brain to give Omos some kind of credit. This is his first cage match. Okay? This is the first guy's first cage match. He doesn't know he could throw you through the cage and win. But maybe he watched cage matches on TV before. I've watched cage matches on TV before, and they change the fucking rules all the time. All right? They always changing the fucking rules of a cage match. I thought he had to go over the top rope or go through the door. I didn't know he can go through the fucking wall and win. But they did this before. I don't remember. Shit, I don't expect Omos, who's in the middle of a fight, to remember either. You want to give him some kayfabe credit here. Match was okay. It's obviously, Omos is not fit to do cage matches because what the fuck? Has he had 50 matches yet? They're really pushing it with this guy. But Lashley is still super over. They did it in a way that Omos didn't lose that much. So it's okay. The next thing we got here is Mustafa Ali versus Austin Theory. The match is set. It's going to be a championship contenders match. My favorite. Theory gets out there and says that he can't figure out why Ali thinks this match is going to happen. That he needs to be able to get a referee that he can trust. And so he went to his benefactor, Mr. McMahon, and now he's got The Miz, who is the guest referee. Then he says that Mustafa Ali is not championship material, that he needs to prove it. And into doing so, he's got to beat Veer Mahaan. So Veer Mahaan comes out there to beat up Mustafa Ali. And it's not lost on me that Mustafa Ali keeps ending up with Arabic or Middle Eastern wrestlers. It is not lost on me that he got put in the ring with Veer Mahaan. And the last time he was out there, he was hanging out with Mansoor. Anyway. The Miz, of course, was a heel referee who didn't see Theory interfere, even though he clearly saw him. He was looking right at him. He also blocked one of Mustafa Ali's tope suicidas by trying to count Theory out, so he was standing in the way. And Ali did a good job of selling that, by the way, of Miz being in the way. Veer wins via submission. They really kicking the shit out of Mustafa Ali since he came back. They did a spot where Theory takes a selfie while Ali was in the submission hold. It was sad. It was real, real sad. Then Rey Mysterio and Son showed up from their stem cell treatments to actually come back and make the save. They got a huge reaction. Why Dominic needs stem cell treatments at 22 or whatever the hell is beyond me, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, what's wrong with his knees already? Like, I get Ray, Ray got them bionic knees. I mean, he done done everything possible to them knees. I mean, them knees done had several surgeries. They've been reconstructed. He got knee transplants. He got new knees put in. He got new legs put in. None of this shit is working. Now he's got to get stem cell treatments. They've been going so long though. I forgot they was even feuding with Veer Mahaan. I was like, what the hell is going on here? I had to ask my brother, like, hey, what's Mysterio's beef with Veer? Is he just being a good guy? And he was like, no, he killed Dominic. I was like, oh yeah, he did kill Dominic. Dominic was his first person he killed. That was so long ago. It felt like so long ago. All right. So Adam Pearce and Becky Lynch are backstage. Becky Lynch is mentioning that she doesn't want the six-pack challenge, and the six-pack challenge needs to be over because Naomi and Sasha walked out. They left. I saw them walk out. They left. And she says she wants her rematch, and she should be the number one contender anyway. Adam Pearce was like, whatever. And made Becky versus Asuka the number one contenders match. And I immediately wrote down, because I didn't know what was going on at the time, why would they take out Nikki and Doudrop? That question was not answered in any other video, by the way. It's just, they did it. Later, Asuka was backstage doing Asuka things, bouncing back and forth and doing her shtick. She says that she's going to give Becky Lynch a reason to cry tonight. And then they had the match. It was pretty rushed because as we know, this was thrown together at the last minute due to power beyond their control. So immediately when Bianca Belair came out there to sit at ringside, I said, okay, they're triple threat baiting. You know, this is about to be a simple. Somebody's going to get thrown into Bianca. She's going to fight them. They're going to get disqualified. It's going to be a triple threat match. They did half of that. They threw, I believe it was Asuka into Bianca. Then Bianca started getting on her apron, distracted the ref. Becky went and grabbed Asuka's umbrella because now she's got an umbrella in her entrance. I don't think she had an umbrella. I think she had a fan before. But she had an umbrella this time, and she was going to hit Asuka with the umbrella. Asuka responded by spitting mist in her face and actually got most of it in her face this time. And with a roundhouse kick, and Asuka pins Becky Lynch. The referee saw all this mist and spit everywhere and just kind of like, you know what? Didn't see it. You know what? I'll let it pass. Whatever. So Becky Lynch basically just did a job, to show people how it's done. So Asuka versus Bianca Belair is going to be the match at Hell in a Cell. I like that. I would have preferred that anyway. This was good. I thought they were to go the triple threat route. Them going this way makes a lot more sense to me. Asuka, and they teased Asuka and Bianca Belair a couple of weeks ago. I'm wondering how the build is going to go though, because it's a babyface feud. So something tells me they might do triple threat match anyway by having Becky Lynch worm her way in, because somebody's got to cut the promos. And Bianca can talk, but what is she going to say to Asuka? I don't know. Like, what can she say that's not going to sound heelish? It's bad enough that her character, comes across kind of heelish sometimes anyway. So, everybody loves Asuka. She can't really say anything to Asuka that's not going to be heelish, so they're going to have to patch that up somehow. All right. Riddle defeats Jimmy Uso. A fan on Twitter asked why Randy Orton doesn't work singles matches anymore. And I was like, what a stupid fucking question is that? Until Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc. said that Randy Orton has not worked a single match since February. And I was like, excuse me? He has not worked a singles match since February? And I didn't notice? Like, wow. Because he gets a lot of TV time. But I didn't know he has not worked a singles match since February. That's wild. Man. Randy was not there. He had a family family commitment. Or whatever. Jey Uso got caught cheating. He got ejected. Crowd always pops for the ejection spot. They love it. Riddle wins with a small package, so he's pinned both Uso brothers. They cut promos on each other later with the 420 RK Bro just smoked your ass and the one and done. We are the ones from the Usos. And I think the Usos are going to be the ones who unify the tag team championships. Even though I still believe that match is probably going to end in disqualification, and they're going to end up running it back for Hell in a Cell. But I definitely think that the Usos are going to be the ones that's going to have both titles. It just seems like it fits their character and it fits at what they got going on here. And it would solidify their ranking as the top WWE tag team of the last 15 years or something like that. Liv Morgan swore revenge against Rhea Ripley, saying she's never going to let her get away with this. Then Los Lotharios, they popped up out of nowhere. I thought they were SmackDown guys. They appeared to cheer her up and do a kiss cam. Liv Morgan was like, skirt! No way. AJ and Finn Balor popped up to be cock blockers to Los Lotharios and shooed them away. Then, believe it or not, these two guys asked Liv Morgan to join them out there. And she said, hold on here. Finn Balor. The first word Finn Balor has said on television since I don't know when was to ask Liv Morgan to join them in their crusade against Judgment Day. Those were the first questions he spoke, first words he spoke on this television in months, at least weeks, at least. Okay. Liv Morgan says, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Liv Morgan is big timing AJ Styles and Finn Balor. I'll consider it. I'll see if you're worth my time. What the fuck is that? I know, like, you probably saying, Mongo, this is stupid to get upset about. You don't understand. You don't understand this. You don't understand how dismissive that was. These are two world champions asking your ass who ain't never won shit to join them. And you're like, you know what? How could that benefit me? It makes no sense. And then it made no sense even further, considering the fact that she was the first one to come out. So she came out with them, and then they came out to wrestle Los Lotharios. I actually had fun with the Los Lotharios, Finn Balor, and AJ Styles match. It was pretty good. Of course, AJ Styles and Finn Balor win the match. After the match, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, they too sweet one another, and they kind of hold it up there, and they wait a while. And then Liv Morgan stretched her little tiny hand up there, and boop, too sweeted them. So now she's part of the little clique here. And Liv Morgan and Bullet Club got everybody spurs jingling and jangling. Now, this first happened at a house show, and that really got people spurs jingling and jangling because they was hoping it was going to come to TV. And then it did. So now everybody's all excited. Like, oh, Liv Morgan is the best member of the Bullet Club ever. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Liv Morgan fan club is trying to take this thing and run with it. I want somebody to cut the legs off from underneath these people immediately. They need to be deflated immediately, but they get over it today. Liv Morgan being in their corner is pretty neat. She's half their age, literally. I think she's literally half AJ Styles' age or something like that. So this is a huge push for her, you know. That's why it kind of bothered me so much that she was kind of the one that was kind of like, you know what? We'll see. It's like, it's a big push for you. You should be like, oh my God, hell yeah. You know, hanging out with you guys are cool. Speaking of hanging out, Judgment Day cut a promo. Damian Priest did his thing where he says that, you know, people are not listening because if they did, they will all rise for Judgment Day. And if they do whatever they want, they beat up whoever they want, nobody's going to do anything about it. Rhea Ripley says that she enjoys every second of being in Judgment Day and that nothing is holding her back anymore. And Edge says that he loves his Saints of Fate because they tell no lies. They don't speak lies. And then she says that, you know, he understands that there are people that are tired of pretending and that they should join them, and that Judgment Day equals power, and that more people are going to see what he can do for their careers. They're going to see it and they'll join. And he's going to keep his arms wide open for anyone who wants to join Judgment Day. Even AJ Styles could join Judgment Day if he wanted to. And this, of course, led to a lot of people saying not only are they ripping off House of Black, they're also ripping off the Dark Order. They're saying anybody can join Judgment Day, that even fans can join Judgment Day. And I think that this is a pretty good tactic for Edge because he's being manipulative. Of course, he's making you believe that any greatness that Rhea Ripley or Damian Priest has from this point forward is going to be because of his tutelage. Now, it would help if they, you know, were actually winning matches and doing dominant shit, you know. Like, it would be a perfect time, especially tonight when two people went home and you probably had some extra time to fill. That if you just sent Rhea Ripley out there with a jobber, and Rhea Ripley just crushes this jobber in like 30 seconds. And just to look good. And Damian Priest too. And then Edge is kind of like, yes, look at this, you know. This is great. We're kicking ass out here, man. That would have been nice. But this was a nice little promo. I'm enjoying Judgment Day. I see that it's actually, some people love the look of it, but they're not sure about the promos and about where it's going. I like it because it is Edge creating a cult. And, you know, Edge and cults, it works. It's kind of a mixture of the Edge heads and the Brood, you know. But they kind of are worshiping Edge. Now that I think about it, they are kind of worshiping Edge. So I like it. You know, I love Judgment Day. They're great. It rules. Now, my favorite part of the show, and I know I'm gonna get heat for this. I don't care. The DNA test with Kevin Owens and Alpha Academy. So Chad Gable explains that they got Elias's DNA from some hairs on an old guitar. So they have Elias's DNA, and they have Ezekiel's DNA from a cup he drank out of with the Street Profits several weeks ago. So they got the DNA of both Elias and Ezekiel. And they're going to go out in public and bust out the DNA results. And Kevin Owens is so excited to prove this. He snatched the DNA results and read them right there. And the results were that the results were contaminated by barbecue sauce. I'm so sorry, bro. Oh, shit. Holy shit. That shit made me laugh so hard, dog. I swear to God, bro, I was dead. That shit silly as fuck. Now, I was just watching a video, right? And it was about Chuck Jones and his usage of Looney Tunes. And it was similar to this video I was watching about Jackie Chan. Let me explain these things to you real quick. All right, so they say that that Looney Tunes, what Looney Tunes does that make it funny is this: the gags are set up in a way where you make an assumption. And then the funny part is that reality is so much different from the assumption. And usually it's absurd in an absurd way. And in the Jackie Chan thing, it's talking about him fighting with things in the environment. Like, ladders, chairs, tables, pool sticks, whatever, right? That's part of Jackie Chan's gimmick, is that he fights with everything. And it's taking something that is familiar and using it in unfamiliar ways. So it's the same principle. You would take something that, comes with an assumption, like a ladder. You climb ladders. You don't necessarily hit people with them. And in the Jackie Chan movies, people are getting hit with ladders as he's spinning around in circles with them or whatever. And that's supposed to be the gag. And I know that in wrestling space, we do this stuff we see people get hit with ladders all the time. But that's part of the gag, is that you will see Jackie Chan do some stuff like he'll jump over a table. There'll be a table there. He'll jump over the table, kick the table backwards into the guy's knees or something like that. It's using something that is familiar to you in an unfamiliar way. That makes it funny. And the gag about Looney Tunes is you will see something like a bomb. Wile E. Coyote will set this bomb off and it won't explode. And then he'll get close to it, then it explode. Like, that's supposed to be what makes it funny. And that's what made this funny. Because we knew that the DNA test was not going to go right. But I had no fucking idea that it was going to be contaminated by barbecue sauce. And because that came out absolute nowhere. There was no barbecue sauce even hinted about. And then what made it even funnier is Otis starts blaming Ezekiel for eating pulled pork. Like, he has this full excuse already ready about Elias eating pulled pork. And then, of course, Kevin Owens is like, no, I saw you eating ribs at catering. Fuck, what the hell? So it gave you something that you was familiar with. It was a silly DNA test, right? And then you think the reality is, how are they going to get themselves out of this situation? At first, it was going to be the question of, how are they going to get Elias's DNA? So they came up with some bullshit about Elias's DNA, getting it from a guitar string or whatever. But they said it was contaminated by barbecue sauce. I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Like, that was absolute hilarity to me, dog. Like, that's probably the funniest shit I've laughed at Raw. On purpose, like, funniest joke they've ever done on Raw in probably forever. I legit was not ready for that shit. And then Otis talking about the barbecue sauce, and I was like, oh, hell no. The ribs and pulled pork. I'm like, oh, fuck you. This shit is genius. Of course, Alpha Academy looks stupid again because they're the Wile E. Coyotes of this whole thing. That's how I tied it together. Kevin Owens is very mad at Chad Gable for being an idiot, and for Otis for being an idiot, and thinking that they're both idiots. And Chad Gable's like, no, I'm going to beat the truth out of Ezekiel tonight in our match. And I was like, oh, I'm not thrilled about that. But they had the match. The match was okay. I think the match was, again, a little longer than it probably would have been if we not had our disturbance for the evening. But It was an okay match. Probably one of the better matches this Ezekiel has had, even when he was Elias. I'm sorry, he's Elias' younger brother. So it was okay, I guess. But that pulled pork joke and that barbecue stuff, that shit was fucking hilarious to me, dog. Alexa Bliss debuts a new theme song. It is absolute basura. It is not good. It does not fit her at all. Why did they change her theme song? Why did they change her theme song? I don't get it. Why is she not talking? This is her second week back on TV. She should at least be welcoming everybody back and telling us where she's been and all this kind of stuff. Let Sonya Deville get some heat by interrupting her or bullying her or something. Anyway, Sonya Deville has been officially fired as a WWE official, and she wants this match with Alexa Bliss to prove that she was just distracted the previous week. Matters not. She still lost. Alexa Bliss wins. Her terrible theme song continues. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like this theme song. It sucks. Go back to the theme song that she had, please. Pretty please. You want to know what's so bad about this theme song? Everybody was very confused about what it was and who it was. Even with the giant LED Alexa Bliss with the lily and everything, it was still confusing. So many people were just sitting there looking like, who that? Who there? Who that coming out there? And it was clearly it's Alexa Bliss, and everybody's just not responding. It's almost like nobody knows who Alexa Bliss is. It was so fucked up that she got zero reaction. None. Because nobody had no fucking idea who that was because that music switch. It's the stupidest shit in the world. Stupid. WWE is just making so many... They're shooting themselves in the foot so many times. Changing people's theme songs. Again, theme songs become iconic because people, they become attached to a wrestler. So we know, like Royal Rumble, you hear the opening chords of somebody's theme song, you react. If you change everybody's fucking theme song, now people who are lapsed can't get back into the Rumble. You're fucking it up. They don't know who to cheer and boo. You changed fucking Bret Hart's theme song. So now a guy who probably hasn't watched since January or something like that, hasn't watched since the previous Rumble, he doesn't know who the fuck this guy is. Because you changed his fucking theme song 100 times. So he got to react when he sees him. That's silly. Why do that? Why set yourself up for failure? Countdown to Cody. Cody is here. Cody is here. Cody Rhodes. He comes out there, says that Seth Rollins isn't there. He lied to us. Cody's lying to us. He's lying already. It's too early to be lying, Cody. He talked about trying to go forward, but Seth Rollins won't let him. And that he had to go and dump gas on this flame. And then he says that Seth Rollins said to him, "You'll never take anything away from me again." He says, "What did I take from you? Did I dilute your legacy? Did I didn't cross any personal lines? You're trapped in this pandemonium purgatory." And he tells the story of Seth Rollins and how Seth Rollins won his way to the top. Then he says, I didn't win my way to the top. My story is a little bit different. I didn't win. I scratched. I clawed. I painted my face. Sit there and looked up at the lights. I endured. I lost my way to the top. And, Cody was being very dramatic. His performances are very good. That acting classes did wonders for Cody. Because he's very good at coming up with the drama. He knows just when to pause to let the crowd react. He knows when something is good and the crowd gives a chance to react to it. So he gives this full performance, and it's just gripping stuff. Before he finally gets to Rollins, Rhodes 3, Hell in a Cell. Now we get Laughing Man Rollins again. Laughing Man Rollins is wearing a green sports coat. And underneath it, it looks like the shirt Christian was wearing in the Attitude Era. That see-through thing, it seemed like he might have had one of those. And they didn't zoom out so I can see it, but it looked like it. And why would you dress so loud if all thing we're going to do is look at your face? Anyway, Rollins kind of plugged some of the holes in the Cody feud by saying that Cody tried to steal his spotlight. and that he cheated at Backlash, but that wasn't enough for him. Now you're begging me for a third match. He says that he was stupid. This is a Hell in a Cell thing is a mistake, because when you step in the Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins, he changes you forever. He's going to exploit all of Cody's insecurities and expose him for who he really is, whatever that means. And then he accepted it. So it will be Rollins, Rhodes, Hell in a Cell, will main event the show. Love it. Good idea. Good simple storytelling between the two of these guys. They're not 50-50 booking it. Instead, they gave Rollins 2 losses that, he can work his way out of those 2 losses. It's not that big of a deal. Because he's Seth Rollins and he doesn't need to win. It's a situation where it's a simple story. Rollins is upset by his inability to beat Cody Rhodes. So he sought to kill him. He stomped him on that damn table. I mean, CTE, nigga, what's up? And that was kind of it. That took the feud to the next level, and Cody is now pissed off, and he wants him a piece of Rollins. And this is a very simple storyline. Rollins is delusional and partially insane at not being able to get what he wants. He gets very violent, and he lashes out. He's a narcissist. And a narcissistic character like that works, And Seth Rollins is his delusions is meeting the reality that Cody Rhodes is just better than he is. And this is a good way of getting Cody over, not only because Seth is such a strong heel in this role, but Rollins is so fucking annoying that you do want to see Cody cave his head in. Because you can enjoy the matches for what they are. And that's the curse of a good worker. It's because you're really good and you're going to get over as a babyface for being a good worker. But at the same time, you got to have the character work to stay a heel, and Seth Rollins has been doing that. So these two guys have been doing top-notch stuff. Cody gave him the, I guess I'll see you in hell. Again, very dramatic in the way that he even said this stuff. But the countdown to Cody Rhodes, I mean, who loves Cody back there? That's what I want to know. Who is it that is in love with? Is it Bruce? Is it Bruce? Who do you think it is, Bruce or Johnny Ace? Is it Bruce? It's probably Bruce, right? Bruce probably in love with the Codester. Big fan of the codes. Anyway, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, very good. R-Truth is back. He's trying to deliver the divorce papers to Akira Tozawa. But Tozawa doesn't want to be found. He's hiding. He don't want to be divorced from Tamina. He loves him some Tamina. And so R-Truth, who has Tamina following him around, is saying, in order to catch a Tozawa, you got to think like a Tozawa. And he knows Tozawa from chasing the 24/7 title. So he knows that Tozawa is hanging out in the trash. So he gave a short countdown. Tozawa hopped out of the garbage, and then he was able to serve Tozawa the divorce papers. Tozawa wanted an explanation from Tamina, and they both run off. Dana Brooke is infinitely excited about the divorce from Reggie, and R-Truth is like, "You gonna give me what I want? I want my baby back." And he said it in such a sultry tone, like it was gross and in some ways demeaning. "I want my baby back. Yeah, you got to give me my baby back." And Dana Brooke was like, "No, I'm not giving you nothing, you creepy old man." And as she tried to get him to leave her alone, she bumps into Carmella, who is doing stuff. I don't know, putting up concealer. I don't know what she's doing. Dana Brooke and Carmella get into an argument about who's less relevant. Dana Brooke then, with a deep cut, saying that Carmella has not been relevant since the guy with no chin was there. And Carmella cut back by, talking about her kayfabe husband. And so Dana Brooke cut back talking about her real husband. So then the 24/7 crew shows up. Dana Brooke takes off, and that leads to R-Truth and Carmella. And R-Truth's like, "Oh, baby girl, you're back. Hop on my back. We're going to get our baby back." And Carmella was like, what? That was old persona Carmella. This is new persona Carmella. Like, do you not understand the different personas? R-Truth, yeah. But this is good because this was a great reunion of fantastic pairing. Carmella and R-Truth was the height of the 24/7 crew. Like, that was pure gold every week that they was working together. And so R-Truth wants his baby back, and Carmella wants to beat up Dana Brooke. And so Carmella promised that she was going to help R-Truth get his 24/7 title back when it's time. But she wants to beat up Dana Brooke. And I said, you know what? Okay. Because Carmella doesn't want the 24/7 title. In fact, she dissed the 24/7 title earlier by saying she was a real champion and that Dana Brooke wasn't a real champion. So we seem to have an interesting thing here. Of course, people are now insider baseball shitting on the 24/7 title. That is not something that everybody wants. It's something that R-Truth really desires, that he really likes, and that the 24/7 crew, they really like it. But the rest of the crew are kind of ambivalent about it. They're kind of like, meh, it exists, I guess. You know, like, I don't want to chase these idiots around all day for it. It's a joke title. But it's not a joke to R-Truth and his team, though. Like, they really like that belt, and it's fun, you know? So they like it and they want it. So they're going to be hatching schemes together. More Carmella and R-Truth scheming. I'm all about that. I'm with it. I'm with them two scheming with each other. It ought to be makes for some fun vignettes and some fun stuff that hopefully will turn Carmella babyface, because she ain't been a babyface in a long time. I think it's been at least 2 or 3 years. So Carmella needs to turn babyface and help out R-Truth a little bit. Dana Brooke gets a chance to kind of come out of the 24/7 division. Kind of. It would be nice if Dana Brooke had like a tag partner and that we had tag team championships. And maybe Dana Brooke and Carmella as a tag team could be interesting. They're very similar as far as, you know, being essentially blow-up dolls or heartbeats. Wait a minute, I shouldn't have said that out loud. I'm so sorry. I mean, no disrespect to blow-up dolls. So it's a nice little reunion for R-Truth and Carmella. This was fun. I'm not going to lie, I like this. So then Lacey Evans comes out there to cut that epic heel turn. I mean, she's so dastardly. I haven't seen a heel turn like this since Jannetty went through that window. I mean, what an incredible heel turn. She came out there to get a round of applause for the military, and everybody stood up, and some people even chanted USA. She thanked the fans for their cooperation. I mean, there was blood everywhere. She highlighted some military people in the crowd. I mean, they were black and blue, and everybody was all bad. She stood in the middle of the ring and says that we all have the power to overcome our life struggles, and we can break the cycle because we have the power within us. We can do it. And I was like, why won't she stop? Why don't somebody think of the children? And then she started talking about how she had to break the cycle for her own babies. I'm like, oh shit, she did think of the children. She was thinking of the children. Well, I'd be damned. One of the greatest heel promos I've ever heard. You know, she's a regular old dastardly Abdullah the Butcher, stab him in the head heel. That's what I saw, because that's what the dirt sheets told me was going to happen. And I believe the dirt sheets whenever I read them. So there that is. All right, Lacey Evans is not a heel, but she is on Raw, so they were half right anyway. She's going to be a regular stomp and clap babyface. I like it. She's going to need some material. She's also going to need some opponents. It's only so many times. She did basically an in-ring version of her life story promos, and it's fine. She's a little nervous, I think, talking about it in person. She isn't fully comfortable with it. I think they should go full G.I. Joe with it and give her the round glasses or the aviators that Sergeant Slaughter wore, and 4-finger gloves. I mean, she should look as much like Sonya Blade as possible. Like, I think that should be the template for the Lacey Evans character. They should look at Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat and go with that. You know, like the jeans. Okay, you want to go with the camouflage jeans? All right, that's a good start. The top is fine. You know, it allows her to breathe and move around and everything. Her finish shouldn't change that much, but just give her something that makes her look cool, that makes her stand out. I think the shades and the gloves will work. You know, so I like the new Lacey Evans character because it's unique. It falls using her unique background, and it makes her different from everybody else. It makes her more grounded than everybody else, and I think it gives her a natural baby face than everybody else. Like, yes, there are certain sections of society that don't really care for the military, but they don't care for the military's actions. They still may respect the military in terms of the people. And that's really kind of what Lacey Evans is focused on, is the people. You know, the people who go out there and make sacrifices every day. Not necessarily supporting everything that they do, but supporting the people for making the sacrifice and who are asked to do things they don't necessarily agree with, but they do it for the country. They do it for the people. And that's what they focused on. They're focused on the people. And I think that it's an interesting thing to do this promo in Virginia, in the shadow of the, Washington, D.C. and the Maryland and all the glowy organizations like FBI and CIA, all the glow in the darks that hang around in that area. Very interested to do a live version of her Everybody Loves the Military promos right there. And she got a great reaction in doing so. But the reaction wasn't really for her as much as it was for the military. People were just kind of like, yeah, I live in Virginia. You know how many people I know that's in the military and around here? Damn near everybody. So I'm going to stand up and clap. They seem to be her people in terms of an audience that would be really receptive to what she's got going on here. And I'm very intrigued about where we're going with this Lacey Evans thing, because she clearly is a babyface with no heels, and she's going to definitely need help. Being the ambassador for the military is a great job for her, and it's a babyface job. Everybody who thinks that she's going to be some Iraqi Russian sympathizer and heel, I don't know where you got that from, other than the dirt sheets. Now she may turn heel, but that will be over time. She certainly wasn't a heel this week, so we'll see. All right, so that's Monday Night Raw from May the 16th, 2022. Overall, it was an okay show. I think it was definitely overshadowed by the Naomi Sasha Banks nonsense. So, we're going to talk about that in a different video. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.